like to start with the product management session today. So let's start. So this is the agenda that I have briefly outlined. We'll cover an introduction and some evolution and timeline of the metaverse. Plus, we'll look at some kind of impact map and the equations of metaverse that are being used today. Then we'll go into the DTOP, which is the digital twin of a product and a digital twin of a customer, plus the metaverse layers. And then we'll look at the type of metaverse and some key statistics. Then the key session of the new product part in terms of the metaverse traits and the metaverse architecture. That how do we go about developing a new product for using the traits and architecture. Then we'll look at a few use cases and promotions, marketing and promotion in the metaverse, followed by conclusion and Q&A. So let's just start. So we'll start with what is metaverse first. I guess you guys have had a few sessions in terms of what is metaverse. So Neil Stephenson had coined the term metaverse in his 1992 cyberpunk novel Snow Crash. And what is the definition of metaverse? Is basically we are saying it's a collective virtual 3D shared space created by the convergence of virtually enhanced physical and digital reality. A metaverse, one basic differential is it is an always on shared set of virtual experiences that are always connected. So at a most basic level, it is an extension of our lives enhanced by technology. Currently, it's existing, in terms of distinct experiences, distinct virtual worlds. But going forward, it will allow to become more seamless and more connected, which will allow us to change the consumer experience, whether it's for shopping for products, playing games, working, and a lot of various use cases, which will look down, today in our presentation. So to start with, a small video in terms of explaining what is metaverse.
Imagine a virtual world that mirrors our own. In it, you meet colleagues, travel to foreign cities, and even get your pilot's license. This world is coming, and you've probably heard of it. It's called
the Metaverse. Metaverse would allow that virtual space to operate like the real world does for everyone at the same time. Infinite memory history.
But if you thought the metaverse was all about gaming, gigs, and virtual meetings, think again. It could transform numerous aspects of our daily lives.
The heat is unbelievable.
From firefighting and filmmaking,
we're going to see people spending more time in immersive experiences,
to manufacturing and medicine.
Using augmented reality is an opportunity for us to do things better.
A whole new world is emerging, and with it, multi-trillion-dollar opportunities.
You think the web transformed our lives? The 3D web is going to do much more.
So this was just a small video on what is metaverse all about. But I think one of the key components that we are looking for is the working in metaverse in terms of the new product development.
Let's take a look at what working in the metaverse will be like. Imagine if you could be at the office without the commute. You would still have that sense of presence, shared physical space, those chance interactions that make your day all accessible from anywhere. Now imagine that you have your perfect work setup and you can actually do more than you could in your regular work setup. And on top of all that, you can keep wearing your favorite sweatpants.
Good. Let's get together real quick for a debrief.
I'm free now. Let's jump in. Hi.
Hey.
So what do we think?
I think it's ready.
Great.
I'll prep it for the presentation.
All right. Good luck.
Imagine a space where you can tune out distractions and focus on the task at hand. And when you're ready to share what you've been working on, you can present it as if you're right there with the team.
Wait, where's Mark?
I think he's in the middle of something.
So these were just two short videos in terms of what is metaverse all about and how what is it like to be gonna be in the future working in metaverse. But
Let's
what is like we have had some understanding of metaverse. So let's look at just a brief list of companies in terms of which are the companies which are working on metaverse, and we look them in terms of the different by infrastructure. These are just some of the companies. Then which are the companies which are working in human interface, and you'll see there are companies which might be getting repeated. For example, Apple is working both on infrastructure and human interface. Then there are companies which are working on decentralized. I think from prominent ones here are obviously Microsoft and Forte. These are the few companies which are working on this. Then spatial computing, I think Google AI, OpenAI, and Unreal, these are the prominent companies which are working in spatial computing. Creator economy, I think almost all the games today are working towards the creator economy of their own, whether it's Roblox, whether it's Horizon, whether it's Epic Games, whether it's Unity. All of them are working towards their own setting up of their own creator economies. Then discovery, one of the most important aspects of metaverse in terms of getting to know the metaverse. And last and the most important of them all is the experience. I think this is where almost everybody is now moving towards, whether it's Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, or Meta even. So, what are the questions that we want to consider in a new product development for Metaverse? So, obviously, the first one is what are the use cases which I can use Metaverse for? What are the types of business opportunities that will be built in the advancement of the Metaverse? And will the Metaverse change how we do business? What are the building blocks? How will the investments in Metaverse create new avenues? And what are the security implications? What are the latest trends? What is the future? And many more. We'll cover all of these questions in our session today. So, but first we need to understand, before we understand metaverse evolution, we need to understand the evolution of the internet. We basically have three versions of internet now. The Web 1.0, which was basically about connecting information or providing information, which was based on HTML, static web pages, and based the primary underlying technology was Java and JavaScript, right? So the whole idea of behind Web 1.0 was to connect people. It was to provide information. In Web 2.0, one of the key components which changed was we moved towards user-generated content. So we got mobile access. It became much more dynamic. There was a lot of social media in place, and also a lot of high-speed communication came into play. So a lot more people came onto the internet, because of which data monetization by third parties and all those pieces could happen. And the focus of Web 2.0 was to consume information. Web 1.0 focused on connecting people and providing information, but Web 2.0 focused on consumption of information. Whereas the Web 3.0 is where we are moving towards, is going to be all focused on the metaverse, whether it is about connecting the knowledge or the artificial intelligence. Also, the one key difference in case of 2.0, the data monetization was happening by centralized parties. Here, users are going to start monetizing their own data. So we are moving towards NFTs, VR, AR in the metaverse, blockchains, and decentralized apps. So Web 3.0 is all about experience. And the key component which has changed from Web 1.0 to 2.0 is the user generated content paradigm. One basic difference in Web 1.0 and 2.0 was all the content was controlled by the provider. Here, the users only consume the experience or got to know about the information. But in 3.0, it is one basic difference is the user-generated content is being consumed and experienced by the users. So now that we understand the difference of in the evolution of Web 3.0, let's look at the kind of timeline which the metaverse has had. So in 1978 is where we got the first multiplayer real-time virtual world. 82 onwards, we got the first one of the first digital reality movies in Tron. 84 is when we got a Neuromancer, a novel which told us about cyberspace. 1992 was where the metaverse term came into existence. 99, I think we are all aware about the Matrix, the movie wherein humanity is inside a virtual reality. 2003 Second Life. I think we'll cover this in more detail, which was it was the first one of the first attempts at a proper metaverse which allowed users to live inside a virtual world. 2006, Roblox was launched, a multiplayer game platform today which has almost 50 plus more than 50 million users today. And 2018, Ready Player One, which showed a film imagining a full-edged virtual world called the Oasis. 21, Facebook became Meta, one of the big changes where it invited investors from more than $10 billion into 21. And here we are in 23 with more and more use cases being developed. So the evolution of metaverse is in three broad steps that we are looking at. In the last 2 years, we are looking at the emergent solutions wherein the innovators and early adopters have started moving, and approximately 15 to 10 to 20% of the adopters have started moving in this range, whereas the early and the late majority will move by around in the next 2 to 3 years. The next stages would be the advanced metaverse solution, which will probably from 2 years from today is what we are looking at, where the innovators will look at more advanced and advanced solutions. And by the end of this decade, we are looking at complete metaverse solutions to be deployed. So, so Gartner has given us a hype cycle comparison in terms of the evolution of the different technologies, and let's look at where do we stand in terms of metaverse. So the cycle obviously starts with an innovation trigger, and then there is a buildup of expectations, which reaches a peak where you have a inflated expectations, but the technology is not in line. This is where we are pretty much in line with this, but the expectations and the technology that is in the delivery of expectation is there is a gap, so it leads to a trough of disillusionment, followed by the slope of alignment and a plateau of productivity. This is where we are going to go, but in the next 2 to 5 years, people are gonna look at as a slightly failed expectations from metaverse, but that's just the case with almost any technologies. You look at the different kind of technologies which Gartner has analyzed, whether it is blockchain, cryptocurrencies, tokenization, interoperability, DeFi apps, all of them have gone through this hyper cycle comparison, and metaverse is just at the peak right now, but it will go on and mature as a cycle, as a product. So now that we understand the maturity cycle of metaverse, let's look at the different kind of impact areas which we need to analyze while developing a new product for metaverse. First and foremost is technological, obviously. So we need to look at the different components of metaverse, whether it's mixed reality, AI, blockchain, NFTs, virtual reality, digital humans, augmented reality, 5G, spatial computing are the different pieces we need to consider. And in terms of environmental, we also need to see whether metaverse sustainability comes into play. What are the kind of carbon footprints we are generating for metaverse products, the greenhouse gas impacts, the production, the power and electricity impacts on the from the metaverse. The next is regulatory. That is one very tricky area for metaverse right now in terms of jurisdiction, the IP rights, the taxes, insurance, and obviously concerns in terms of security and privacy, which already there is a host of criminal activity also being done via metaverse. Next comes the trust and ethics part of metaverse. Now we are looking at diversity, equity, and inclusion. So there are different kind of people from different races, from different cultures, from different backgrounds who are looking to get onto metaverse. How do we ensure that all of them are treated equally and with the same in a same manner? And also we need to look at the safety and bias of people are taken into concern, and also the anonymity and identity. So people who are coming from different backgrounds, different work spheres, their anonymity is maintained only if they want to, whatever information do they want to divulge gets divulged, otherwise not. The next aspect of the impact map is the social cultural aspect. So you need to take care into abuse and cyberbullying does not take place into your products. Then the mental health is being taken care of, loneliness and polarization. Plus, what are the brand impacts of the products that you are looking to make? Next aspect is obviously the most important ones: economics in terms of ownership, decentralization. What kind of industry impacts does it have? What kind of economic inequalities can it create, and how does it lead to, how can you adopt it to a distributed workforce? Last one is probably political. What kind of communication that you do, the propaganda that you set from the products, what kind of virtual nation cyber warfare does it impact, and virtual nations does it impact to? So this covers the different kind of impacts which a metaverse can have, and while making our products, we need to keep these into mind. So moving on to the metaverse equation. So this is one of the most important slide in today's presentation. So looking for any new product, you need to focus on three broad areas, which is the transport, transform, and transact. So all these three areas combined with the different attributes of interaction, creator economy, interoperability, immersiveness, and identity. We'll cover this when we cover the metaverse traits and architecture piece later on. Looking at the different use cases that metaverse will provide in terms of opportunities, whether it's customer service, brand influence, training, games, events, meetings, etc. So this can be broadly classified into six different technology themes, whether it's digital humans, gaming, virtual spaces, shared experiences, spatial computing, and tokenized spaces. All these can be transformed, transport, and then transact to get the metaverse product. We'll look at the key innovations, how can we go about it, especially the digital twin of a product and digital twin of a customer, leading to Web 3.0 in the innovation space. So coming to digital twin of a product. So DTOP, this focuses on predicting the behaviors of machines and systems that go into making and supplying of the product. It is the virtual representation of product over its life cycle, which combine data from multiple sources to improve the design, manufacturing, and support of product services. The results is improvement in revenue and better products that meet customer needs, perform better, and get to market faster than the competition. DTOP will help you to fulfill new customer expectations, manage product complexity, and faster technology development. It, from a study done by Deloitte, there is a 50%. It leads to 50% faster time to market, 25% improvement in quality, and 10% revenue uplift. So this is one of the important tools
It's a tool that
developed
can
by
create a
NVIDIA.
precise digital version of something that exists in the real world, known as a digital twin.
Digital twins are a true to reality simulation of a virtual environment to the physical. You can think of it as two parts of the journey: the creation of things, whether they're buildings, factories, products, scenarios, worlds, etc., and then the operation of those things in a digital twin concept. The way to think of it really is kind of like the operating system for the metaverse.
So digital twin of a product is one of the important aspects. Before you actually launch any product in metaverse, you need to have this ready so that you are convergent and fully aware of the different aspects of the product that you're looking to launch.
It's a tool that
Next comes the digital twin of a customer. What is a digital twin of a customer? It is built on the concept of a marketing persona. It provides context and predictions of future consumer behavior, which relies on both online and physical interactions to accurately simulate the customer experience. It represents an entire set of interconnected predictions and simulations based on real customer data and changing external variables. So getting DTOP and DTOC together will help you get to market much faster as compared to any other approaches for metaverse today. So how does a digital twin of a customer help you is to optimize processes by simulating and predicting a customer range of behaviors, inform where automation can play a supporting role. It helps you to uncover opportunities, which is by adjusting your engagement tactics in real time, and brands can track and adapt to the subtle changes in customer preferences and behavior. It helps you to predict performance, simulate customer behavior, enabling brands to vet proposed activities or events even before they occur, and reinforce strong strategies and flagging activities that would be missing the mark. It also helps you to detect problems early each time a negative customer experience is identified and proactively remedied, and which helps you to avoid significant cost or losing on loyalty. So now that we understand the aspects of DTOP and DTOC, it helps we can move towards the different metaverse layers that are in play. So they are broadly classified into three categories. The first layer is on infrastructure and hardware, which helps you identify which makes up by devices, the OS, and the accessories which are deployed for the metaverse. The next is the infrastructure, which comes in terms of the cloud applications and the cloud deployment, the semiconductors, the networks that powers the metaverse. The second range of layers is the platforms, which helps you access and discovery. This is where you can go into the platforms that facilitate distribution and discovery of content, experiences, and apps, including browsers, search, and these app stores in play. The next layer is the creators or the 3D development platforms. These are a core set of tools and platforms for building 3D experiences, including design game engines, AI services, creator tools, and etc. So these are the two kind of categories of layers which have 4 layers. Next is the enablers, which we have the security, privacy, and governance. This security, identity, and data governance, privacy, content, moderation platforms are all covered in this layer. The next layer is identity, which helps you manage the digital identity and avatars and social graphs of the customer. The next layer is payments and monetization, which helps you to get on develop the tools, platforms which are looking to enable the metaverse economy. This could be in advertisements, in payment gateways, and in asset stores. The last category of layer is the content and experiences, which are on top of the all other 3 layers, which is in terms of providing the content, enriching the metaverse experiencing, including the first party content, developer content, creator content, and user generated content. The next is the suite of applications which are tied to metaverse use cases, ranging from learning, collaboration, and industry specific applications. The last is the virtual worlds, where we are setting up large number of users where they can gather, interact, and create to move in and out of different experiences. So far, whatever we have learned on the metaverse, what are the pros and cons? This is our learnings. So metaverse, the pros is it provides equal access to lifelike, otherwise unattainable experiences for the masses, but the access is limited for some users who struggle with the fully immersed experiences. Interactions in the metaverse are more accurate, with virtual representation of physical objects. But the problem is the increased cost for individuals buying the technologies needed to participate. In terms of pros, the shared virtual experiences in real time with families and friends in the same room. Today, metaverse enables a lot of use cases where you can interact and share experiences with your friends and family, which might not be located in the same location or in the same city, even for that matter. But the problem is with this approach is that more business investments are necessary to attain metaverse objectives. Working collaboration and co-creation with colleagues as if in the same office is a big pro. We all have experienced in the lockdown scenario how the different kind of technologies helped us to collaborate and work with our offices, even though each of us were working from their respective homes. But there is a much more likelihood of bad behavior and privacy violations in metaverse as compared to in physical, because there is no monitoring per se as compared to the actual physical. Last point, in terms of testing and training sessions, this can be much more automated for users, because metaverse we can control the environment and we can control the technology, but at the same time there are a lot of security concern and protection points of compromise. So looking at the different types of metaverses, so these are broadly classified into a 2x2 metaverse matrix here, where we are looking at closed versus open. Closed, wherein the metaverse is being controlled by a larger entity, which could be Meta, it could be decentral or other ones. Whereas high fidelity and low fidelity in terms of the graphics and the content and the technology being used. So Fortnite and World of Warcraft, these are the ones which are in both in high fidelity as well as closed. Fortnite is now controlled. World of Warcraft is now controlled by Microsoft. Second Life, I think, was a more better example, which was a closed economy, but it was more on the neutral side in terms of high fidelity versus low fidelity. The next quadrant, we have players like Somnium and Sandbox, which are in high fidelity, but more towards the open side, where the users can take control of the different kind of provided. Roblox, I think, is one of the most popular ones, which is more towards the low fidelity ones, and both as well as Minecraft. But again, these are closed metaverses with a centralized entity controlling the platform. The last one, these are last quadrant where we have Decentraland and Axie and crypto voxels, which are open as well as moving towards low fidelity. Any questions so far on the slides?
Any queries, any questions by the audience till this point of time, if you have any? Any queries?
Okay, we'll
Nitya ma'am,
continue. Somebody's paying.
any queries from your remote center? Nitya ma'am, I think there are no queries right now.
Sure, we'll proceed.
Sir,
Nitya ma'am, any queries?
no, sir.
Okay. So let's, while we have understood, got a basic understanding of what the metaverse is, we also need to understand that what metaverse is not. It is not a virtual world or a game with AI. There are games being played, but the metaverse is much more than just a game being developed. It is not a virtual reality. It is not a digital or a virtual economy being developed. It is not just a game, like I said. It may have games within it, and it may have a lot of game-like concepts, but in itself, it is not a game, and it is not a theme park or some kind of a Disneyland, which some people mistake it for, and it is not an app store or a user generated content platform like YouTube. So I think we have a basic and good understanding of what is metaverse about. Let's look at some of the popular examples of metaverses. Decentraland, I think, is one of the most popular examples. It started in 2017, has now become one of the most uh, popular
What
platforms.
if you could own the virtual world? Create, develop, and trade without limits. Make genuine connections and earn real money. Decentraland, a fully immersive platform powered by the blockchain. Buy land.
Sorry.
Design your experience and transform the way people see the world. Purchase the first ever virtual real estate. Get started today.
So Decentraland is, I think, one of the most popular metaverse examples today
What
there,
if you
which is
could own
available.
the virtual world?
Now this platform has gained momentum gradually, and now we are at a stage where even real estates are being auctioned off. Where recently we had $2.4 million sales of real estate in Decentraland. I think more and more companies are now getting onto metaverse. Nike has come up with Nike Land on Roblox as a platform where they are looking to have different kind of areas. The different they have prepared 6 areas: the lobby, basketball, football, showroom, NPRL, and playground. Each location has allows the players to perform different type of activities, ranging from sports, virtual shopping, swimming. Let's just look at the approach for which Nike has taken for Roblox.
So Nike has entered the metaverse. The metaverse is this new inclusive evolution of the internet, where we're experiencing the internet from within, re-immersing ourselves into using technology like virtual and augmented reality. And a great example is Nike. Nike has built this purpose-built metaverse space in the Roblox gaming platform. This is a gaming platform people use to build their own virtual worlds, and Nightland is a place now where you can meet, socialize, and take part in promotions and engage in a whole range of brand experiences. And since it has launched in 2021, over 7 million people have visited Nightland, seeing things like celebrity appearances from sports stars like LeBron James, for example. And what you can do in Nightland is you can buy exclusive digital products to decorate your avatars. This brings me nicely to the fact that Nike is also now entering Web3 and NFTs. So Nike was very quick to capitalize on the trend of NFTs, which are tokens that live on the blockchain. They've actually recently purchased Artifact Studios, a maker of next generation NFTs collectible. And they managed to sell 600 pairs of NFT sneakers in just 6 minutes for a total of $3.1 million. So the first collection that Nike has developed is called Dunk Genesis, and these are digital sneakers that can be customized with skin lines created by different designers to add special effects and patterns where you can really personalize your digital sneakers. And so for me, these are great examples of a company that stays on the cutting edge and that creates a brand presence in the metaverse in terms of the Nike land. And they're also thinking about digital-only products like digital sneakers and outfits you want to put into your avatar.
So one of the key, interesting facts which Nike has done, that
So
if
Nike
you
is
are to buy
thinking,
a sorry, if you are to buy a shoe today from Nike online, it will also provide you a token which will help you get a digital version of that shoe for your avatar on Nike Land. That is one of the key innovations which Nike has done. And the fun part is it has also helped them pick up sales from on their offline stores. So let's look at the one more example, which is the Ready Player One. I think it's one of the most popular movies, which is on Metaverse.
Place called the Oasis. This is the Oasis. It's a place with the limits of reality and your own imagination. You can do anything. Go anywhere. Like the vacation plans. Surf a 50-foot monster wave in Hawaii. You can ski down the pyramids. You can climb Mount Everest with Batman. Check out this place. It's a casino the size of a planet. You can lose your money there. You can get married. You can get divorced. You can go in there. People come to the Oasis for all the things they can do. But they stay because of all the things they can be. Tall, beautiful, scary, a different sex, a different species, live action, cartoon. It's all your call. Yeah, that's me. Well, that's my avatar. At least until I feel like changing. Place called.
So this is basically the ideal vision that people have outlined for a metaverse. Now that we have a good understanding on metaverse, let's look at some key statistics on metaverse which will help you develop products in a much better manner. So metaverse has now gained almost, across a host of countries. We have got prosumers and mainstream consumers. So this is where by countries, if you see almost all the countries, and India itself is at 92%. A study by this is by McKinsey, where it has showed that India, almost many countries among are in the high 80s and 90s with prosumers for metaverse. So in terms of value creation, all the consumers and brands are already engaging for metaverse. 59% of the consumers are excited about transitioning their everyday activities to the metaverse, whereas 57% of metaverse-aware companies says they are going to adapt to metaverse. Top five activities which the consumer are excited about are social, entertainment, gaming, travel, and shopping. Whereas the enterprise use cases are in marketing, development, and learning for employees, meetings in the metaverse, working in the metaverse in terms of events and conferences, and product design or digital twinning. So let's look at the total, the TAM of addressable market of the metaverse and the digital penetration across some few verticals. If you look at the music industry, it is looking at some $68 billion with digital penetration of almost 31%. And the different use cases which Metaverse is supporting are the streaming music, virtual concerts, the virtual awards, the meet and greet events, and virtual studios. In terms of advertising, the TAM is much bigger and the penetration is also higher. And they're looking at different kind of use cases such as virtual billboards, branded stores, branded clothing, games, etc. In terms of education, the penetration as on today is comparatively lower, but the market size is much bigger, and you're looking at use cases such as virtual labs, virtual field trips, virtual classrooms, virtual clubs. And the most, I think, the biggest use case that in the segment which is there is today is in retail. We have almost more than $16 trillion market size with a penetration of 17%. And you have a different kind of virtual clothes, virtual stores, virtual fashion shows, and ability to purchase physical items in virtual world. We'll look at more detailed use cases later. So, in terms of the opportunity, venture capitalists are already funding more than $13 billion into metaverse, and in 2022 already there's an investment of $120 billion. So this space has grown by more than 9 times in a year, and by this 2030 we are looking at a combined investment value of around $5 trillion in metaverse. There's also a scenario analysis done by Goldman Sachs in terms of what is the different kind of scenarios depending on the percentage of TAM expansion and the percentage of digital economy shifting to metaverse. So it ranges anywhere between 7 to 9, almost close to $10 trillion, which the metaverse economy will be. So, few users, what is the kind of user trends that we are looking at in terms of how many users are in looking at augmented reality from in the last 4 years and the virtual reality in the last 4 years. So you see there is a fairly high level of growth in the percentage of users for both augmented reality and virtual reality in the US. In terms of impact across industries, this is a study by McKinsey again, where they have analyzed the impact across industries, and almost all industries are going to get disrupted by metaverse working. If you look at, but some of the metaverse use cases are much more suitable in training and collaboration as compared to other pieces. So here, training includes employee onboarding, virtual classrooms with remote experts, and collaborations highlight the virtual and augmented creation of experiences. Entertainment is another industry which is working very closely in different metaverse products, including gaming, concerts, sporting events, and time limited events. Then retail is one other big place. I think we have already seen a couple of videos there in terms of how are they leveraging on AR and 3D content, and marketing and branding activities are looking to engage customers through different mediums. So across sectors, if you see, uh, these are the different kind of adoptions where you have the leading sectors from energy, resources, and media and entertainment, whereas construction and telecommunication today are probably not leveraging metaverse for their product launches so much, but going forward, they are also going to look to increase that. I think impact across industries we have already covered, so I'll move forward in terms of time. So, what are the top concerns about the metaverse? So, one is the top concerns. There's a study done by Goldman Sachs where they have said that children's privacy is one of the top concerns, given the younger generation are much more hooked onto metaverse. Then, in terms of overall privacy, is another top concern. Data protection and children's safety and bullying. These are the top concerns which are there in metaverse today, from found in the study. But even then, people believe that metaverse is the promising, and it will be part of the future. It will be the next big thing. It will be obviously the next version of internet, and almost two-thirds of the participants in the study believe that it will be life-changing. Those who know metaverse, they believe that brands will need to work on different kind of use cases, just they'll need to work just as hard today what they're working in offline space. They'll need to work almost equivalent version in metaverse, but the metaverse will be an inclusive space. It's 70% of the audit found that, and 65% said that metaverse can bring together people together. So, what are the top value propositions which different sectors are looking for in terms of for developing of products? In training and collaboration, it is the accessibility and the interoperability which is working. In entertainment, it is engagement and ability to scale. So, the retail sector is looking for knowledge based expertise, the marketing brand expansion, and these are different kind of value chains which are being highlighted from metaverse perspective. However, there are limitations in adoptions to metaverse. These are the key challenges which are highlighted by in the study. What are the funding issue? Whether it is the funding issues, whether it is the maturity of the technology, lack of skills, whether it is the legal or regulatory hurdles, or the customer or employees resistance in terms of adoption, and the unclear ROI in, on the investments made by different metaverse structures, whether it's the digital humans, virtual reality. I'll share this slides across with Dr. Harsh. We can go through the more statistics later on. So, in terms of time, I will move on from this tech part. Okay. Now, one of the key capabilities that we need to look on for metaverse is the content creation. Now, content creation is obviously critical to metaverse maturity, but this is where we are lack of content is a serious problem that the vendors are trying to address. And today, if you look at, for example, in YouTube, right? YouTube is a platform which is based on user generated content. Today, the challenge with metaverse is people are not currently adopt the technologies are not currently available to the common man, so they can start generating content which can be consumed in metaverse. Here, AI is increasingly being experimented with, especially as a way to automate and expedite content creation. And despite some siloed implementations, vendors are aiming for long term with investments into networking and interoperability. So if you look at the different kind of metaverse virtual activities which are being working today, it is obviously the number one is the work in terms of working and collaborating on innovation. Then socializing, whether it is going to movies or chatting with your friends and family. Then gaming, matching matches with the top athletes is a use case which is being developed by EA Games, where they are looking to provide experience in metaverse where you can even go play a tennis match with Roger Federer. Entertainment, whether it is a live performance around the world, all of them are looking to go into metaverse so that the physical limitations do not come into play. Fitness is another big use case where you can now exercise with a virtual coach in metaverse. Then digital assets, I think this has already been covered in one of the other sessions where you are looking at authenticated NFTs. Education, you can attend a popular lecture in Harvard, get the experience from Harvard, get the experience in your home. You don't need to go to the university as such. And shopping and retail is another big use case. So, coming to the main part of the our today's lecture, today's session, which is the metaverse product development. We are looking at different product traits. Before you start looking, these are the different traits you need to analyze your product for in terms of approaching the product to market. It has some 7 components, which is realism, sight, sound, touch, gestures, ubiquity, and interoperability. Let's just look at each of these product traits in detail now. The first one is realism. So whenever you're developing a product, you need to keep in mind that the product that you're developing has in the 3D world, it gives you a realism experience. Otherwise, the user will not be able to appreciate the product, and you'll lead to a very low adoption of your products. So you need to have the ensure that the customer feels involved with an experience, and then it bears with a sense of realism. The next trait we look at is sight. It is one of the essential factors, and evolution of virtual worlds has eliminated the indirectness while enriching information at par with the real world. Now, with the proficient use of real-time computer graphics hardware, and other technologies, you can define your products so that they are very well, realistic and have a 3D feel and experience for the end consumer. The next trait is touch. So this is one of the key challenges. You need to have users need to have a physical stimuli for interacting with objects in the virtual environments. One of the most common technologies that enable touch functionality in the virtual world would be haptics, which basically converts virtual contacts into physical contact. So ensure that any products that you're developing has to have cover the haptics or some other technology which supports the touch trait for your product. Next product trait we are looking at is the sound, wherein any product that you would in the real world, if you would need to speak and listen in the virtual world, this is equally applicable in the virtual world in order to establish interactions. Verbal communication is an essential trait, and speaking and listening in virtual worlds like a metaverse drive much better engagement in users in comparison to reading or movements on faces. Therefore, sounds is a mandatory addition in the metaverse product traits, so which will help you. And also, please, it's not just about having a simple sound for the product. It's about having some kind of three-dimensional spatial sounds and other technologies such as binaural rendering, which can transform the perception of sound in virtual worlds. Moving on, the fifth product trait that we will look at is the ubiquity. The metaverse product should be accessible to anyone without any restrictions. It should be accessible from anywhere, and the rise of wearable technology provides adequate support for this. Metaverse features distinct identities for users in the virtual world. Your identity in the virtual world would be a sum total of your virtual presence, the content you create and share, and the assets you own and trade. So ubiquity, any product you are developing for metaverse needs to take care that the ubiquity trait is catered to for the product development. Next trait that we look at is the gestures. What kind of a gestures does your product support? You need gestures and expressions that mirror the real emotions of users in the metaverse. It comes under the nonverbal communication, which matters significantly in metaverse designs. AI and machine learning complemented with VR technologies are transforming the whole gestures and expressions play to earn games in virtual worlds. So when you are developing a new product in for the metaverse, please ensure that the gestures trait is taken care and how do you want to present the gestures in your product. The last product, the trait we look at is probably one of the most important ones because people tend to focus when they are developing a product for metaverse for a specific metaverse or a specific world or a virtual world or a specific avatar. Whereas while developing a product, you need to ensure that your product is interoperable. The identity in the real world, the identity of an individual travels along with them when they move to different locations. Similarly, in the metaverse, the design should facilitate the same with the help of interoperability. The trait of interoperability will not only allow a seamless movement between different virtual spaces, but also it will drive the shift of many real-world operations, processes, and systems to the metaverse. With the right standards and clearly defined layers of interoperability, the metaverse can be same seamless virtual environment that everyone desires. So now that we have looked at the 7 different states, the which are essential for designing of new products in metaverse, we also need to look at how these different traits will interact and achieve these features. For this, we are gonna be working on the metaverse architecture. But from an interoperability perspective, one of the key developments which has happened recently is a platform developed by NVIDIA. Let's just understand the NVIDIA platform.
As yet, the metaverse lacks an agreed standard for connecting multiple virtual worlds. Something like the HTML protocol, an agreed standard that defines the appearance and behavior of pages on the web.
So in case of just before we continue with the video, when Web 1.0 or when 2.0 developed, HTML played a very big part along with Java and other technologies in terms of interoperability and intercommunication, how the different pages interacted with each other and communicated with each other. That standard today is currently lacking in Metaverse, which is what NVIDIA is trying to crack with this product.
When we think about the metaverse as a 3D evolution of the internet, we require the same sort of structures, new standards for 3D information, new hierarchies that allow one virtual world to know that another exists, to then communicate safely, securely, and consistently, share information, of that will exist today.
The race is on to develop the metaverse's equivalent of HTML.
The thing that makes the metaverse so impactful for everyone is the seamless ability to go from virtual world to virtual world in much the same way today we go from website to website. There's a mobile device, browsing, etc.
Once again, it's Hollywood that is making the running. Pixar needed a way for its animators to collaborate effectively, despite working in different studios and often with different tools. So it developed its own software called Universal Scene Description, or USD. In 2016, USD was made open source, free for anyone to use. It's still early stages, and it remains to be seen whether USD will become the universal protocol of the metaverse.
We saw this as the potential to be the HTML of 3D as we move forward to a 3D-centric web. So now everybody has a common way of describing the 3D environment, and companies are working together to advance the format, likely into HTML.
So this USD, the Universal Scene Design, developed by Pixar, is one of the key technologies that you could look at while developing of new products, because it will help you in terms of interoperability across the different virtual worlds. Now that we have looked at the different product traits that are required for a new product development in Metaverse, we will need to look at how do we bring these traits together into a seamless architecture so that the customer products are much more widely accepted. So, so traits are obviously critical for a truly immersive experience, but how do we enable these traits? Technological developments can make it all possible, but we need to bring them in a single manner. So building a digital environment might seem like developing another website or software, but it isn't so. There are many special aspects to consider when building the metaverse, and for this we will go into the metaverse architecture. These are the different components of metaverse architecture. We will look at each of them in more details. So architecture components can showcase the fundamental outline for process of building the metaverse. The first component is infrastructure. Infrastructure helps you build different metaverse types according to the requirements that you have. It refers to the connectivity technologies such as Wi-Fi, 5G, and advanced computing resources such as GPUs and cloud computing. The next component is the interface. How will user interacts with the metaverse? The answer will draw towards the need for a human interface, but you can find technologies such as VR headsets, haptics, AR glasses, other tools which will help you make it possible to join the virtual for the users to join the virtual experience. Third component of the architecture is the decentralization. It is the emphasis on metaverse blockchain, and which is a prominent aspect of the basic vision for immersive 3D worlds. The metaverse has been visualized as a completely democratic setup, thereby calling the effective use of decentralization technologies. Therefore, blockchain becomes an important aspect in the metaverse for design owing to its decentralization capabilities. Apart from blockchain, there are AI and edge computing, which are other tools to play a critical role in the democratization of the metaverse. The fourth component of the architecture is the 3D world. 3D world covers the spatial computing, which is provides for the different kind of 3D engines, the AR, VR, and XR, and the geospatial mapping. You will not be able to build proper 3D metaverse worlds without the spatial computing functionalities. So it is one of the it is one of the more obviously the more important components of the metaverse architecture. The next component that we have is the creator economy. I think we touched it at the start. Almost a lot of companies are moving towards the creator economy. This is where the metaverse should mirror the real world in terms of the flexibility for trading of the assets one owns. Creators should have the ability to get a certain value for their assets in the metaverse. To ensure this, we have to uh, ensure that the creator economy brings in a combination of various design tools, e-commerce establishments, and digital assets. Along with blockchain functionalities, creator economy can provide a transparent and trustless function. The next component is discovery, which helps the users get onto the metaverse. So metaverse should include massive 3D worlds with various virtual spaces. Therefore, it is essential to the essential to include the components which facilitate the discovery of the various virtual spaces. A main component in the metaverse design is to facilitate discovery would be the content engine. The content engine can drive engagement by integrating different components such as social, media, reviews, ads, and ratings. Last, the last component of the architecture is the experience. The experience is the final component of the design of the metaverse, and it is probably the most important factor in defining the functionalities of the metaverse. If you dig deeper and understand the metaverse, you can identify how it promises immersive experiences. And I think we covered the start as well. Web 3.0 is all about experiencing the metaverse, experiencing these different experiences, and which is an evolution from 2.0, where we focused on consumption of information. A virtual world would do anything, would not be able to do, and it will be practically unusable for anyone if it does not provide the proper experience. So we covered the metaverse traits, product traits, and the metaverse product architecture. Any queries before we move forward towards the use cases? Okay, I am not getting any queries, so I am assuming we'll move forward. So let's look at now a few use cases that we are looking to drive value, and how the focus on traits and architecture will of these components of metaverse in the real world, right? So we have a lot of different use cases, whether it's marketing, VR gaming, decentralized finance, and many more are there for available for discussion. So one of the most important ones, I guess, is marketing. It is one of the most prominent use cases, and more as more users are joining the metaverse spaces, brands can discover new ways of attracting the attention of their target audience. For example, ads in the metaverse games have become a notable trend adopted by brands for marketing. With the metaverse, we can look at completely new benchmarks and standard for marketing. Just a show of hands, how many of you guys are aware about Samsung use case of metaverse? Any of you are aware of the Samsung use case of 837X?
Any of you, please, if you are aware about Samsung's use case, please just give a hands up. I don't think so.
Sure. Okay, not a problem. So Samsung has gone big into metaverse. They outlined the proper process, and I know somebody who was actually involved in this process, so he gave me an insider's view in terms of how they went about it. So first part was introduction to the metaverse and product launch. So the Samsung team recognized the metaverse potential to create immersive shopping experiences, and they decided to launch a virtual store to engage the tech-savvy customers. The next step was to identify the prerequisites for a successful metaverse product launch. Here, they identified the target audience, such as tech enthusiasts, gamers, and early adopters of the metaverse. The next part was to provide a value proposition, which would have to be an interactive virtual store where users could explore, customize, and purchase digital versions of the Samsung products. The next step was to get the initial steps right in the Metaverse product launch. Here, they went about doing ideation and conceptualization from the design and marketing team. They brainstormed how to replicate the physical store experience in a digital space, focusing on product presentation and user interaction. They also did their market research and analysis. They researched the popular metaverse platforms, analyzed user behavior within those platforms, and evaluated the potential for virtual commerce. The next step was to set the timelines for execution. They established a 12-month timeline, including design, development, testing, content, and creation and launch. And the key milestone included creating 3D models of products, building the virtual store, environment integration, payment gateways, and conducting user testing. The next step was to allocate a budget allocation. This is where Samsung spent almost 36. They allocated a budget of $36 million US million dollars for the metaverse product launch, which covered expenses such as 3D modeling, platform fees, marketing, collaborations, tech development. Cost also included the hiring the 3D artists, collaborating with metaverse content creators, and investing in platform specific technologies. The next step was to market and promotion in the metaverse. Here they include the different strategies, including teaser campaigns across social media, hinting at the upcoming virtual store, showcasing sneak peeks of the virtual store design. They also partnered with different metaverse influencers to generate excitement and interest. A grand virtual opening event was organized, featuring exclusive virtual products, discounts, and interactive experiences. Next, after the launch, the next step was to monitor analytics. To monitoring analytics, Samsung integrated advanced analytics tools within the virtual store to track user engagement, navigation pattern, and purchase behavior. Here, they also monitors which products attracted the most attention, how users interacted with virtual demos, and analyzed the effectiveness of marketing efforts. Last step was the conclusion. In the key lessons from the Samsung product launch were analyzed, including meticulous planning, effective marketing, user engagement strategies, and the potential of market metaverse commerce. So they launched. Okay, by the way, they launched this product, the store called as 837X. So if you are any of you are aware what is, okay, if you have not heard about 837X, 837X, the name actually comes from the store address of the New York store. The New York store is actually located for Samsung is located in 837 some ABC Street. So they named the store after it, the New York store, the metaverse store after 837 as 837X, and it provides a very similar experience to the 837 New York store. So when they launched the store, after that they have done uh, concerts such as with artists such as Jung Kayo, Vitser Morosi, Feze Yoda. These are all popular artists in US, where they had a different type of festivals in the virtual store in metaverse. Another use case which is for the, apart from moving on from marketing, is the virtual workspace. I think this is something we have all worked towards in the global pandemic. The distance in the global pandemic showed us how we can work conveniently or learn according to our preferences from the comfort of our homes. But as the distance has increased, it leads to doubtful subjects in collaboration. So metaverse is one big use case here for creating virtual space, which will encourage the development of virtual office spaces. Let's look at a couple of examples from finance now in terms of the metaverse. There are top three banks are now entering metaverse, whether it is the HSBC, which is coming to set up its own partnership with Sandbox. It is JP Morgan, which is also moved in decided in February 22 that it will become the first bank in the metaverse. It has opened its own virtual Onyx launch in Decentraland to prepare for the emerging metaverse economy. And Siam Commercial Bank, they have started in March 22, where they have launched the virtual headquarters in the Sandbox metaverse. So these different banks are now getting onto the metaverse as one of the use cases in metaverse. Also, as commerce moves into the metaverse, banks are starting to follow in suit. Financial institutions are beginning to carve out space for virtual banking, making the metaverse a one-stop shop for e-commerce. Let's look at some more examples from banking itself. So, different banks and companies are looking to launch virtual payment services. While cryptocurrencies are the default standard today in in metaverses, but the different payment services are looking to get their own payment services, so that there are a lot of customers who do not believe in cryptocurrencies but want to become a part of the metaverse can get onto the can start using payment experience services. Whether it's American Express, Stripe, and Off-White, these are the different companies which are getting onto the metaverse for providing of payment services. Now, this is one of the interesting use cases of metaverse, where Manchester City in entertainment, they have provided a very different kind of a experience. They have launched their own football club on metaverse. So in the metaverse, in the football club, they have also launched their first football stadium in collaboration with Sony. The club plans to build a digital replica of the Etihad Stadium, enabling the fans to watch and experience matches no matter where they are in the world. Manchester City is obviously one of the first global sports team and major clubs to publicly invest in the metaverse. The ability to showcase future matches in an engaging, lifelike way is an untapped part of football that may change the experience for fans in the future. The club is investing in unique parallel to the physical fan environment that could serve as a blueprint for the professional teams. I think for us, think about a lot of fans in India, for example, right? A lot of us are football fans, but we don't have the chance to go and watch an actual Premier League match in the UK or in other countries. But with the metaverse being enabled, all of us can experience a real stadium-like experience in from the comfort of our homes. So let's look at a very interesting use case which has been done by Industrial Light and Magic, one of the premier countries in entertainment.
One of the recent innovations that we've created at ILM is what we call Stagecraft, the Stagecraft LED wall, which is this immersive environment which filmmakers can use to create their productions.
Industrial Light and Magic is a groundbreaking visual effects company famous for recent shows like Disney's Obi-Wan Kenobi. In the past, it would have taken an army of set designers months to build a set like this. Now, with ILM's Stagecraft technology, sets can be designed virtually, revolutionizing the production process.
Stagecraft is ILM's virtual production toolkit, and it's really an end-to-end solution. So what you see on that LED wall is actually what goes straight into the show.
This is the technology which underpins the metaverse, the ability to conjure up realistic, computer-generated worlds in real time.
So think about the implications of this product which ILM has developed. Now, Hollywood movies, or even for that matter, Bollywood movies, they're spending crores and crores of their money to actually generate, very realistic sets and realistic experiences. All that can be done using this technology as a technology product from Metaverse. You don't have to build huge sets. You don't have to build a lot of, diverse users and sets, costumes, etc. All that can be provided by the Metaverse. So this has been already been used in different movies like Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Right now, closer to home, let's just go look at one use case which Geo is providing with the product called as Geo Dive. So Geo is trying to get into the metaverse here, where with respect to the Geo Dive equipment, by which you can experience real IPL stadium-like experience sitting at the comfort of your homes. You don't need to buy any tickets or anything else. You just need to get this device, take a subscription from for the IPL, and you can experience real match like experience sitting at your homes. So moving on, for some other use cases, let's look at health and wellness. This is another interesting use case. Now, given most of us would be worried about, that with the metaverse, the health and fitness will take a backseat. Not actually, because there's a metaverse use case called as Allo Sanctuary, which is offering immersive wellness space for rest and relaxation, along with yoga classes and guided meditations. So Allo Sanctuary has been released on Roblox, wherein you can go and try and do a lot of uh, digital platforms, which are, like I said, they are damaging to mental health. But with this, it is the simulated virtual environment, which is providing room for mindfulness and good mental hygiene. Let's look at some more use cases, which is from the food and drink industry now. I think almost all the restaurants are now getting onto the bandwagon where they are providing the Chipotle, whether they are looking to provide experiences so that they don't miss out and the from the metaverse way. So whether it's Chipotle, McDonald's has also opened up its own piece in in the metaverse. It's Wendy's, which has opened Wendyverse, virtual restaurant on Meta's Horizon. Then Panera. These are all obviously US ones which have taken the lead, and different kind of stores being opened up. So now that we've looked at different kind of examples of use cases of the metaverse, let's look at the key takeaways for brands. The first is that the metaverse is a shifting digital engagement form from passive consumption to active creation. What this means for brands is to expect and see an evolution from influencer economy to the creator economy. People will now be able to create their own experiences with brands rather than provide experiences. Second, the metaverse is inherently social. 82% of the people familiar with the metaverse say it's a place to socialize, and 64% say believe it can bring people together. So the metaverse is not just another digital platform; it offers a space to foster community and connection, and can deepen brand engagement. Third, 60% of those familiar with metaverse say brands should be manufacturing and selling digital products alongside physical products. I think I gave you an example of Nike, where if you go and buy the physical shoe today, they are also providing a digital version in the US today. This helps get a much more deeper engagement with the customers rather than just simple purchase. So this metaverse offers new business models and revenue streams. In the metaverse, brands will need to think beyond physical products. Last, the metaverse is still in the early stages. We are watching it take shape in real time. Even then, 70% of those familiar with metaverse believe it is the future, and brands will have the opportunity to define what the metaverse will be. So, to go about preparing your business for the metaverse, right? So, the key steps are you need to have a people first experience. Always consider the needs of the consumers and how outcomes can potentially impact them. Then one of the impact points is this is not just a social platform. You need to shift from social to societal. Move away from tools that simply allow communication to those emphasizing relationship and enabling experiences. Third, design responsibility creates stellar experiences for consumers so that ensure people are not disconnected from reality. Fourth, make accessibility and inclusivity a feature, enabling all people everywhere to participate and fully express themselves. Fifth, reduce the physical and mental friction by adopting decades of the different kinds of 2D and 3D user experiences designed to ensure that we engage with each other in a much more human way across the different metaverse worlds. So, how to go about going to prepare is focusing on a first is the value focused strategy. You need to define your metaverse goals and determine the role you aim to play. Then you need to test, learn, and adopt, where you launch initial activities and use cases. You test them and monitor near real-time results and review the long-term potential, and only then adopt the real long-term adoption, the adoption from that. Learn more about your users before you prepare to scale. The last step is obviously you go about scaling, where you identify and start scaling capabilities and embed them in business strategy and operating model as a fundamental. Moving on, in terms of what kind of developing opportunities are there in metaverse today, I think we already spoke about Roblox, which has a daily active users of almost 55 million users today, and almost $250 million daily trading volume of NFT at its peak. $500 million metaverse real estate sales have already been done, and over 10 billion have been invested into metaverse development annually. Over 11 million XR headsets have been shipped, and 80% of them being produced by Meta. That is one key process. So, in terms of looking to develop opportunities, you need to look at the expanded set of use cases, look to have a fully immersive environment, interoperability between worlds, enhanced concurrency, and a AR device proliferation leading to ubiquitous digital and physical overlays. Now, let's look at some of the product challenges that we are going to have for any product metaverse product development. So that's one of the key ones is the license fee and structures. Given that all of us are the structure for licenses and government rules is still not fully laid out. The next one is the different kind of file formats. Almost all the creators are coming up with their own different kind of formats and files for metaverse. Then existing use cases which need to be supported, need as we are evolving into different technologies. How do we keep upgrading the existing use cases? Looking for delivery and ingestion of the different use cases that have been already delivered. Grant of rights, it's also in terms of licensing fee. Apart from how can you adopt provide grant of rights to different levels for different kind of users. For certain users you want only the viewability rights, whereas for certain users you want different kinds of interactivities, whereas for certain users who bring their own content and uh, generated content, how do we integrate them into our metaverse products? And in terms of warranties and indemnities, that the kind of products that we are looking to provide, for example, the Nike is providing the digital products. Now, what if the NFTs get stolen? These are all technological limitations. But if they do get stolen, or is there any issues with the warranties and indemnities, what kind of structure will they have? Next is existing devices. As we roll out more and more newer and newer technologies, the existing devices will have to be upgraded, and so that they can support the different world. But that product presents a very big challenge in terms of investments. And next one is infringement and traditional territories. Into traditional territories, the challenge is that a lot of metaverses are now going into spaces which we did not traditionally believe would have been possible, such as concerts or sporting events. Most people believe that they would remain in stadiums or in physical concerts. That is getting needs to be is a challenge. And finally, the usage tracking. The kind of data which is getting generated in metaverse is much more bigger and voluminous to handle as compared to a single way which happened in Web 2 1.0 or Web 2.0. Coming towards the last part of our presentation, the top metaverse investors. These are the top metaverse investors. Interestingly enough, we have now got few trade funds which have also started on based on metaverse. But please do your due diligence before investing in metaverse. I think in interest of time, I'll move over here. But the key takeaways are people are looking for virtual lands that are going for $4 million in sandbox. I think we covered Second Life briefly at the start of our presentation. That Second Life, it had at a given time, at a peak, it had over 1 million daily active users and a $600 million GDP in June of 2021. Right. So couple of last slides. What are the event failures? Now, just learnings which you should take from a few events. Samsung, while they have been very successful with their 837X store, one of the key challenges for the Samsung, they organized an event in Metaverse, which actually led to a stampede in the Metaverse. If you see this picture, people are actually climbing over each other to get into the store, which is not a kind of experience that you want to design for your consumers in Metaverse.
Always end in results. Back in 2019, the controversial virtual rapper FN Mecca was created as part of this cycle. It utilized digital twin technology to base its character and music on AI. The rapper even had a sizable audience in TikTok, garnering about 10 million followers by the end of 2021. Fast forward to 2022, things began to go downhill when it used derogatory racial remarks in some of its songs like Florida Water.
So this is an example of another failure of Metaverse, where they actually, the company behind this Future Planet, they decided, created a virtual rapper called as FN Mecca. And if you see that at the time it even had 10 million followers, but the challenge was they could not control the technology properly, and it made up derogatory remarks and racist remarks for in onto their social platform, leading to a lot of backlash from their consumers. So coming to the conclusion, so technological advancements have brought us a long way, and metaverse is one of the most exciting technologies that we have seen. This is which is going forward. But rather than interacting with two-dimensional web pages, now you can access internet as a 3D virtual environment, AR and VR devices, which will help us enter the metaverse and access the different spaces in the metaverse. What are the different kind of spaces in metaverse? If you see the different solutions in the web today, you will have equally different kind of games, social media, entertainment platforms, learning platforms in the metaverse, which will offer a very much better experiences from the 2 point web 1.0 or the 2.0 websites. A virtual environment with the traits of sight, realism, touch, sound, the different traits that we covered is definite is one of the key components of designing products for metaverse. And at the same time, you need to have clear structure, which can be designed using the architecture components that we saw today. You also need to keep in mind the other supporting technologies driving the functionalities of the metaverse, including the experience, discovery, and create economies. Users could create, share, and trade their metaverse experiences and assets independently without a centralized control. I think the references will share across with Dr. Harsh. I leave the platform now open for any queries.